G'day guys, how are you going? Well, what I thought I'd do with this one, I thought I'd go into my food preparation, how I've gone about planning out my food for this trip into the Flinders Ranges, because I am away for sort of 2 to 3 weeks and pretty much off grid for a couple of those weeks. So I thought we'd just go into my food prep and how I've gone about it. So what I've done with this time, especially with my fridge and freezer combination, my big 45 litre Ingle, I'm now running that as my freezer. I only ever run it as a fridge on all my other trips, but this trip I can turn that around. This is now my freezer. It's currently sitting there at about minus 9 degrees, which is working really well. It's sat down that temperature all the way through. So I've freezed up a lot of food before I left home and packed it all into here. And then my little slim line down the side here, well, that's now my fridge. You know, I've got the fridge there just from basic stuff that I might need during the day, and when I'm out there on the tracks. And also in my camper trailer I do have a 3-way fridge in there which runs on gas, 240 and 12 volt, as well as another option which I really haven't used that at this stage. This combination here is working really well for this trip at the moment. And then the next part into my food preparation, which this has been an absolute game changer, and it really does help and make things a lot more enjoyable when you're out here. You're far better off doing as much work as you can at home before you get out here, and then you get more time to kick back and relax. So what I have actually done, I have written a full food menu for this whole 2 weeks that I'm totally off grid on these stations, and everything from morning, from breakfast, lunch and dinner on all 3 stations. They're all labelled. So there's Mount Little station there, that's where I spent the first one, first day there, and then, you know, moving over to the last one which I'm about to head to at Willow Springs, and there's my food menu there, and it covers everything. So I don't, you know, there's no guesswork, you know, during the day of what am I going to have for dinner tonight, what am I going to have for lunch. I just got to grab this out and it tells me straight away, you know, on what I'm going to be having. And this is, you know, a little bit of work involved at home makes life so much easier out here. And, you know, like tonight, I'm going to be having spag bowl. Now that's a spag bowl there, all flat packed, so it stacks really nice and neatly and very easily down the side of my fridge, or my freezer. It now runs a freezer. But yeah, there's a spag bowl there, ready for one of my dinners. And got all sorts of things going on there, and, you know, packs of corn that I'm going to do, you know, some nachos with and all that sort of stuff. And they're all labelled in there. So that's made life so much easier by going to that extreme, is yeah, getting all my food and everything all prepared before I get out here. So here's just some of the stuff, you know, that I've got on my breakfast here. So, yep, typically one of the days I've got pie in the travel buddy. You know, one of my dinners is snags and a couple of bread. That was one of the travel days, one of the big long days before I arrived there at Mount Little. Just wanted something quick and easy for dinner that night. You know, and ham, cheese, tomato sandwiches, and then soft tacos, which I've just shown you the corn. And in that's going to be diced chicken, tomato, lettuce, grated cheese, you know, some red kidney beans, some half a red onion, some garlic, all going on. So, you know, still eating fairly well even coming out here, and that's where running the freezer is working absolute treat for that. You know, I got chicken Kievs on one of the night there, and some raisin toast, which I've just had for my breakfast here this morning. So yeah, so that's working really well there. Now, the other big one I do want to go into with food preparation, let's get into that, because this is a really important one if you're coming from Victoria into South Australia. Righto, so the next one I want to talk about, which is really important when it comes to preparing your food coming from Victoria into South Australia, and that's the fruit fly checkpoint. Around these little things here, anything to do with fruit and vegetables, you can't take them from Victoria into South Australia because of the fruit fly checkpoints. They're pretty full on. I was a little bit unaware of it at the time. Didn't even think about it, and I was off catching up with some mates who had been up to Flinders Ranges sort of fairly regularly, and they were the ones that brought to my attention about the fruit fly, which, so yeah. So what I ended up doing before I left home, I've made a home shopping list, and I've also made a Renmark shopping list. So Renmark's got my fruit and veggies and all those sort of things on it that I needed to get from Renmark once I got into South Australia. But look, the best way to find out what you can and can't bring in is just jump online and check it all out. There is a full detailed list of what fruits you can bring in, what vegetables you can bring in, and what you can and can't. But make sure you do check it out, because the fruit fly checkpoint was pretty full on. Like the signage, as soon as you come over the border, it starts making you aware of, you know, fruit fly checkpoint and this sort of stuff. You got to drop any fruit and that off. And then you drive past, like you could drive in to a, you know, drop all your, in a bin there and drop all your fruit and veggies in there. And I thought that was going to be about it. But that was only the beginning. That's where, just where the honest people are supposed to drop all their stuff. And then a few more k's up the road, you know, you come to this massive station. It's huge. And they come out and they went right through my car, glove box, went right through my fridges in my car. Got me to open up the back of my camper trailer and looked at my food boxes in there. They went through everything. And if they find something, from what I've heard, there's not much give and take, if anything at all. There's going to be a fine coming in the mail. So do be very aware of what you can and what you can't bring in when it comes to your food preparation, coming to South Australia with your fruit and veg. And just one other thing, which is another tip that a mate of mine who I caught up with, who made me aware of the fruit fly stations in South Australia. And he said, once you do your food shopping that you need to get from, you know, once you're in South Australia, which I did at Renmark, he said, hang on to your shopping receipt. So this is my Renmark shopping receipt, where I bought these little buggers and a few other things and that sort of stuff. And it's all listed on there. And he said, just hang on to that, just in case you get pulled over somewhere while you're in South Australia. And they do ask, you know, about your fruit and veg that you've now got in your car. I just got to pull my receipt out now and I can show them the date and everything. It clearly shows there where I bought it in Renmark in South Australia. And I should be all good to go. But yeah, the fruit fly is pretty full on. And actually a mate of mine, I was only chatting to him the night before, because I was in Renmark. He was on his way up to head into the Flinders somewhere. And I was chatting to him and about the fruit fly and be really aware of it. Anyway, he got to the checkpoint and just was totally unaware of 2 limes that was still in the door of his fridge, of his camper trailer. So I'm tipping there's going to be a fair sort of fine in the mail when he gets home, because yeah, I don't believe there's a great deal of give and take when it comes to the fruit fly stations. And that's what that bin station drop off is for. That's the last point of your honesty. If you go past that bin drop off and you get caught at the station, fair chance you're going to have a pretty horrible return when you get back home. There'll be a fine in your letterbox waiting for you to get paid, and I believe it's a good few $100. So keep the fruit fly well and truly at the top of your thoughts when you're packing your food before you leave home, especially coming in from Victoria and any other states. But check it out. Well, there you go, guys. That's my food prep, how I've gone about it for this trip up into the Flinders Ranges. Hope it's helped you out, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks very much, guys. Hooroo.